Welcome back to part 3 of our interview with Kayleen Reusser on her book, Born to be Soldiers, Those Plucky Women of World War II. You have several books out already. Can you give a brief rundown of those books? I got to talk to you before, and you go into detail on that, so you can always search for our previous interview, but just give a brief rundown of each of the books that you have out.
Sure. I do have 4 books in my World War II Legacies series, which is, it's over 120 stories of men and women who served in the military in different branches. It's not focused on just Air Corps or Navy or Army. It's a compilation in each book. And there's women in each one, but not very many because I'd only interviewed 20 or so out of 260. So, but these are all large print too, by the way, I want to say that. And for me, I was not a military person. I'm the proud wife and mother of Air Force airmen. But when husband and son start talking, I don't know what they're saying. So husband leaves the room. I used to leave the room. Now I make him leave the room because I don't know what they're saying. And so when I write these stories, I try not to use too much lingo to make the stories too difficult to understand. So those could be even in school libraries. Those are, and full of pictures too, by the way, because I know pictures add so much educational value and interest. And as many as I can from the veterans. So these would have been never before published in many cases. Then I have a series called World War II Insider, which is about, actually, I've got a picture of one back here, D-Day, which is about D-Day, obviously, which is June 4th, 1944, when we landed on the beaches of Normandy. And that is filled with stories from men I've interviewed who were there. And then the second one in that series is about the Battle of the Bulge. Again, telling stories from men who were there. And then I have a POW volume, which of the 260, I found 8 men who had been POWs, prisoners of war. Wow, I think every American ought to read that book because you will never complain again about anything once you've read those stories. Very amazing stories there from different branches too, by the way, Army, Navy, and Army Air Corps. So all 3. I do have a coloring book. I'm putting together books that I feel like can help children or anybody who likes to color to learn more about our vets while drawing and coloring them in. And I'm going to be coming out with, so I've got a Women of World War II coloring book at this point, and then I'll have a Men of World War II coloring book. And that is, I think there's another one, and I'm totally forgetting. How awful is that? Oh, it's not directly veterans, but it's called It Was Our War II, Youth in the Shadows of World War II. And it's about people who were children during the war in Europe. Most of the stories take place in Europe. And there's one story in particular of a man who was 10 years old who lived in East Prussia with his widowed mother. She had 6 children, including a baby. And one night a Russian cannonball came through their home. And they were instantly having to go on the road to escape. And they instantly became refugees. And this was January of 1945. And so, I'm thinking of those Ukraine children who have had to become refugees, sadly. But again, these examples, these stories can be great examples to show you will survive. You will make it. You will have a great future. Just keep going. So that's my stories, and I'm so thrilled to be able to write and promote them. I just I find so much not only courage, and pluck, but just interesting people are around us everywhere. Most of these people I have interviewed in person. I would say 98% of everybody I've written about, I've interviewed in person. So they're around us. You just got to ask and listen.
Well, I am so thankful that back when you were tasked with having to go interview that first person, that that whoever asked you to do that did that and sparked this. So
he still takes credit for that. I do. I really do thank him for that, because he, and I didn't probably write that story very good, but the veteran was so patient with me, and even the first couple dozen would have had to be patient with me, because, they were, I think I used this in the first video, they were using words like Tinian and Tarawa and Peleliu. I didn't know what he was talking about. Well, those were islands, so in the South Pacific that the Marines were invading. So it was it's been quite a journey, and I'm still loving it.
Yeah, well, thank you for doing it and finding a passion in it and sharing these people's stories. And so you can order your paper book.
Yes.
And you can get a Kindle version
Yes.
of it.
Yes.
And I'm guessing you can find all that information out on your website.
Yes. Yes. And if I could, I'd just like also just to say thanks to the veterans who are watching and their families, because I know what it's like to have your husband go to Tucson for 2 weeks in the winter, in a Midwest winter, and have your garage door freeze shut. So with 3 kids in the house, nobody can get sick. There's challenges. So I just would like to say thanks to those people who are all volunteers. I don't know if I mentioned that. I have looked it up. We have not had a draft since 1973. So everybody who is in the military has volunteered. They're getting paid, but they're volunteering to serve their country. I think that's outstanding.
Yes, I would like to second that. It's such a sacrifice, and one that I chose not to make. And I'm glad that the people that have did. So I thank you as well. So
good. Yeah.
So Kayleen, thank you so much. And again, you can go to her website. And it'll be on the screen, but it's KayleenReusser.com. And you mentioned you have a YouTube channel. I will be checking that out and subscribing. And I cannot wait to listen to that interview that you did with Eileen, right?
Yes, Eileen Zeisig. Yes, they're all unedited, but they're all very short. I've often thought that they'd be good meeting openers or homeschooling class openers, because they're just kind of, at the end of the interview, I always said, well, tell me what you think about your military service or something that happened that really has stuck in your mind. And they're under 3 minutes, so they're just pretty poignant sometimes.
Very nice. Well, thank you again. And I look forward to reading more of your stories.
Great.
As they come out in the future.
Thanks, Raina. You do such a great job. I'm so happy to have your support.
Well, thank you. All right. Thanks for watching our TV3 Extra with author Kayleen Reusser.